So, a friend of mine was in Walmart recently, and we have a few in the area. This one in particular is about 15 or so minutes southbound of the city. It's one of the super centers, and he called me while he was in the store. And I would assume it was urgent if he called me while he was doing his shopping. But told me about an interaction that he saw between a woman who was there doing her grocery shopping and a gentleman who was also there doing the same thing. And said that she was down the aisle on her tiptoes trying to grab some paper towels that were in a packet of, I think he said about 6 to 8 of them. And said that she was struggling, that she was pulling on the plastic, and that the paper towels almost fell on her. And said that there was a gentleman who went to help her, who grabbed them as they almost fell, and gently put them in her cart. Now, he told me that she said something along the lines of, seriously, or got some kind of attitude, saying that she didn't ask for his help. And as he was about to respond, I would assume just to say, hey, I just saw you were struggling. I was trying to help you. I didn't want him to fall on you. She said that she was not going to give him her number and then just very rudely walked away. So trying to act like this guy was in the wrong for trying to help her. Now, hearing stuff like this really annoys me, and I've heard of things like this happening before, but examples like this are exactly why so many men are done. And by the way, when I say men are done, I'm not just talking about dating and relationships. I'm talking about wanting nothing to do with women nowadays. And when it comes to, I'll put it this way, when it comes to helping people in need, or maybe who are struggling, right? Because she might have figured out some way to get those paper towels down. She might have got who knows if they would have landed on her in the cart in the first place. But nonetheless, there's been many times in public where I will see women kind of in a similar situation, whether it's a lot of groceries they're trying to load into their car or some kind of heavy box. And there's part of me in the back of my mind that maybe thinks I should help them. But then I think of examples like this. Now, if it's someone who's elderly and whatnot, yeah, I will help them. But when I hear about stuff like this from modern women, I want to stay as far away from them as possible, quite frankly. And when it comes to helping me, of course, us as men, we know that we've all had family members get older, and it's inevitable, obviously, perhaps our parents, where this same man who was able to lift you when you were younger is perhaps struggling to move furniture around the house or lift a box inside, and you are going to help them, of course. So it's not about decency versus being indecent. That's not what it's about here. It is about self-respect. It is about not putting yourself in a position to be disrespected. Now, when it comes to disrespect, I'm sure every single one of us has had to distance ourselves from a friend at some point in our lives, which I think is completely normal as we get older, especially as we get into our early to mid 20s or 30s, where we see a lot of these people that we used to hang out with when we were younger, just we kind of outgrow the friendship. But something that I find very interesting, when you think of the traits of those people that you probably distance yourselves from, things like jealousy, too much partying, too much complaining, time wasting, all the epitome of what modern women do nowadays. The epitome of that. And you wonder why men want nothing to do with them. So there's no reason why a man would put themselves in a position to be disrespected. And I guess kind of for comparison here, right, when it comes to the Walmart. So my friend walked into the Walmart with a wallet full of money, and he spent his cash and left with at least some groceries and stuff for the house. But when you get into a relationship with a woman like that, like in the Walmart and just any of these modern women out there on the dating apps and whatnot, you might get into the relationship with a pocket full of money or a good, optimistic outlook on some things, but you will leave with nothing. You're not going to leave with the groceries like you would at the grocery store. You're not going to leave with any fruits of your effort. you will leave with nothing. And she might leave with everything, quite frankly. What do I mean by that? So I'm sure we've all heard of divorce stuff with relation to this idea that women take half your stuff if they get a divorce, and even things that you worked for. When in reality, it's more like 70%, 80%, 90%. Like I know someone in particular who, he was someone who worked hard. He was working a hard physical job, and he told me I could share this, but he got in a divorce and a custody battle. And he is having to pay, he's had to pay child support for a number of years now. And the woman who got full custody of the kids, which by the way she shouldn't have gotten, and divorced him, married someone who was very well off financially, to the point where she wouldn't have to worry about child support, which she really didn't have to in the first place. But my friend still has to pay out of pocket. So theoretically, a woman could divorce a guy, get full custody of the kids, and have him pay child support every month. And she could marry a multimillionaire while he is struggling paycheck to paycheck, which I'm not saying my friend is doing. But he would still have to pay the same amount. That's absolutely ridiculous. There's just nothing logical or reasonable about that. Now, I want to say something about when it comes to just this whole term of being single, because it's pretty clear as to why so many men want to be single. But there's been this big conflation of being single with being lonely. So I hear women saying what men call peacefulness ultimately. They want to try to say it's loneliness. When those same people saying that kind of stuff will do everything in the world for other people's attention and validation. They'll try to convince you that they're not lonely and that they're happy and they're at peace while they are scrolling and swiping 10,000 times a day on dating apps and social media, putting so much time and effort into that while they really are just trying to use it as an attempt to mask a lack of self-esteem and real loneliness, by the way. The people I've known that are the most lonely are the ones that are involved in that stuff the most. The partying stuff, the social media stuff, posting 10, 20 things a day. Someone who is at peace does not do stuff like that. So when I see modern women say that and behave in a way that's contradictory, it's clear as day what's really going on here. Men are seeking their peace. Women are glued to their phones, like men are now glued to their solitude. That's what it comes down to. And someone who is so just fixated on admiration from everyone else is not confident. They're not loyal to one person. They are loyal to themselves. They're not someone who's capable of being in a relationship. And I see this too where I've seen claims that men are not approaching women because they're afraid to talk to girls, and trying to say that men are the ones with the unrealistic expectations, that they all want 10 out of 10 models, which even if that was the case would still be more realistic than the expectations I see from modern women, and they're really not even standards anymore. If you look, and I'll put it this way, I'm not going to be saying that looks don't matter at all, but we're all going to get older someday. The looks aren't going to be there forever. So you need to have some form of really an ability to be around someone. So not someone that can disturb your peace of mind. But even when I see men talk about looks, it's typically within their own league. They're not someone who, and I'll put it this way, they're not someone who is, not a gym goer, the complete opposite, trying to say they want someone that revolves their life around the gym. When I see modern women talking about standards and expectations and this idea of not settling, it is not at all glued in reality. It just isn't. men talk a lot about behavior. We talk about all different kinds of things. But nonetheless, if there is no prospect for a relationship, for family, for dating in the first place, then what is the point? That's what it comes down to. And the reason why men are not approaching women, and I'll touch on this too, because I've heard that claim of men being afraid to talk to women. Now, I'm sure there's points where we've all been nervous if we see a woman that we're attracted to, but nonetheless, we've all had to have a hard conversation with a friend or a family member. Talking to a woman, or rather fear of talking to a woman, is not why men are not approaching women. That is not. They're trying to find every single way to deflect really any form of accountability for their own behavior that has alienated men from wanting anything to do with women. That's what it comes down to. And, what does that tell you if a woman is saying stuff like that, right? She thinks that she's above all these guys, that they're not good enough, thinking that she is the prize. And I've seen this a lot too. I'm sure anyone watching this has probably had some experience where you are just out and about doing your kind of daily tasks. And much like this guy in the Walmart, you didn't mean anything flirty by it. You weren't trying to make a move on her or anything like that. But it's almost like the woman just assumes that she is so special and above everyone else around her that, oh, well, how could someone not want to make a move on me, right? Like, I've seen this even at grocery stores before. Probably the most common place that I've seen it. If I'm doing some shopping in a grocery store or a department store and you're in the line, and which, by the way, I remember a time where they would put dividers on the grocery aisle so you could put your stuff down after, and the person working there would look you in the eye. There was some form of customer service, and the interactions didn't feel like just some kind of slower form of self-checkout. But nonetheless, this very dismissive kind of just nonchalant rudeness towards the people who are there just doing their grocery shopping. And I've seen a lot too where even people in front of me in line will be dealing with this. I've dealt with it myself. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is just beyond silly. I don't really pay any mind to it. It's not worth paying any mind to. I just go about my business, quite frankly. But even the people I've talked to, who let's say they've overlooked stuff like this, right? And they're people who know. I mean, I have conversations with them every now and then about this kind of stuff. But friends of mine who have gone on dates or talked to women recently, really has been nothing but almost just reasons to really give a forefront example as to why so many men are done. Like I knew someone recently who talked to a girl, by the way, not a girl he met on a dating app, and they were talking for a while, and she just started really leading him on, giving kind of mixed signals, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So wasting his time. And this is someone who has a kid, who has responsibilities, who has work. You don't want your time to be wasted. But was just using him as an emotional sponge, a shoulder to cry on, really. Was trauma dumping. And he would give her, which was so funny about it, he would give her sound, logical advice on this, quite frankly, made up problem that she had. And she would become resentful. She didn't want to hear it because she didn't want that. She wanted his energy. She wanted his attention. She wanted his time. Now, what does that sound like to you? That sounds like someone who is very inconsiderate and, quite frankly, narcissistic. Now, I'm sure we've all heard that word thrown around a lot. And I think sometimes it gets thrown around maybe more than it should. I'm not saying they don't exist, obviously, but this rampant increase from modern women in narcissistic traits is definitely apparent. The narcissism, the entitlement is on full display. If you think that you are the center of the world, basically, that the world revolves around you, that every single man wants you, and you are taking pictures here and there, and regardless of what, people that maybe are just minding their own business, You can't tell me that's not one of those kind of traits. Again, I see that word get thrown around a lot, but I see also things that are from modern women that are forefront examples of it. Women who make a dating app profile who just want attention and validation from men. I've even heard that said out loud. They're not looking to date. They're not looking to build anything serious. And that's outside of the dating app as well. These are the same women who have this mentality of, oh, I'll get to 35, 40 and settle down and have kids then, which is not how it works, obviously. But I've seen that mentality. And it's exactly why so many men are done. It's exactly why men are valuing peace and solitude, why they're investing their time in the gym, why they're investing their time in collaboration among people who are loyal in their lives. They're trying to improve themselves. They're doing it on a daily basis. So, as always, guys, don't get derailed, don't get distracted. And when I hear things like this, like at the Walmart, it just goes to show exactly why so many men are done. And as always, guys, I appreciate you for viewing the video. Hope you guys have a good one. Thank you.